A leader has to take the risks.
There we go.
All right. A little bit of technical difficulties, of course.
Same apologies. I was like, I'm 1 minute late.
I
No.
know. I'm never late. I mean, literally, like it's like yeah, it's just ingrained in me now in my life.
Really? Oh, it's the opposite. I used to have like such bad social anxiety that I was always constantly late. So like something that I've been working on has been punctual and time, because time matters and it's really important to me. So I try to be on time now completely because of that.
I hear you. I absolutely hear you. Okay. So we're going to get down to business. I'm very, very excited. I got a lot of good stuff that we get to talk about today, and been looking at all of your stuff, and it's Stavola, correct?
Stavola. Yep.
Stavola. Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
I just want to make sure I got that right. So, but no, I just, I'm really excited to talk to you because it's such a topic, you know, when you think about dating and, you know, that whole world, that new world that, that I think a lot of people, it's different for them, especially if somebody was recently in a relationship or they got out of a relationship, or maybe they're young and they're starting to figure this out, because it's a different world that we live in today with technology, with social media, with Zoom relationships.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like it's a whole nother world. And so I'm excited to unpack this subject that everybody wants to know about and everybody's interested in. So I think you've touched on a lot of different great thoughts and ideas. So I'm really excited about talking with the amazing Natalie Stavola. So what's up, man? Tell me where are you from, by the way? Where do you live, or what part of the country are you from?
So, let me grab my coffee. I'm originally from Connecticut, so the tri-state area.
Okay.
And grew up kind of going in and out of New York too, and then also in Florida. And so we moved to Florida. So I'm, part country, part, city, got a mix of it. Lived in Florida for a while, went to school there, got my bachelor's in psychology and minor in PR and communication at FSU. And then I always kind of knew I loved Cali. I'm very like, I need something that's got beaches and mountains. So moved to Cali. I think it's been coming up on 10 years now. So now that's where I am. That's where I reside, is LA.
So you're an LA girl. Wow. I'm not too far away. I'm actually Newport Beach, down the street from you. So
on the road. Yeah. Oh, Newport Beach is beautiful. I love that area. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I do too. And so you moved out here because you wanted to be an actress, right?
I did. Okay,
so how did that, with your background, communications, all that, I mean, like, why did you want to be an actress? Did this start when you were a young girl?
It did. What's interesting is that I don't have like this huge, I saw this movie and I saw this star and all of a sudden I was like, that's it. That's the one for me. It was something that I was honestly born with since I can remember. Ever since I was 5, I was always performing for others and putting on a show, doing that. Christmas time, I would wear the boa, the tree boa type of thing. And I'd put that on and act like I was like an old, like, Hollywood star who like smokes her long cigarettes and, oh, Red, don't come for me. I'll get you in our 2 beds because we can't put that we sleep in the same bed on TV yet. It just became something that I was performing and doing. It was a way of, what happened was, I was very fascinated by human behavior. I was always studying people. Even as a kid, there was a lot of chaos. There was chaos in the family. Things happen. Every family's got their stuff, whether they like to admit it or not. Love my family. We admit it. We've grown so much. And there was a lot that I was watching. I wasn't, and I love my parents, I was not allowed later on when I kind of came out and was like, hey guys, going to be an actor. That was not allowed in my family because also too, like, when you've got family that they've gone up and there's been struggle, they don't want their kids to struggle. So a big part of my family was like, no, we want you to be a lawyer or a doctor. We want you to be, you're so smart. You could be anything. Like, why this? Don't struggle. And it was just something that was inside of me. I tried everything else. What I did do is when I went to college, I was always fascinated by human behavior. I thought about like, okay, if I'm fascinated by why people do what they do, like why do they do that? Why do they say certain things? Why do they get into these relationships? Why are they hurting? I had a bleeding heart. And so I actually found out that Ashley Judd, who I really loved, has a PhD in psychology. And Tom Cruise has, a bachelor's or master's, one of those two, bachelor's in psychology. So I was like, there we go. And I loved their work. I loved their work ethic. So that's what I did. I jumped into that. And initially, I was double major criminology and psychology. I was like, well, if I can't be an actor, then I'll be a criminal profiler. Yeah.
So you're really interested in knowing why people do what they do, right? So.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The only difference is that I had to learn that you can learn all you want to. You can read all the books. You can get all the degrees. But if you don't know how to integrate your knowledge, you're going to keep repeating the same things that you don't want to repeat. And so that was the biggest game changer, was integrating the knowledge and then being able to pass that on.
And so you end up moving to California. Was it hard? I mean, like, was it a hard move for you when you moved out here, just to integrate yourself with, because obviously West Coast life is different than East Coast life. And so what were the differences and how did you deal with that?
Are you initially from the West Coast or the East Coast?
No, I'm from the West Coast.
You're from the West. So yeah,
born and raised. Born and raised.
Also, but East Coasters come out here and we're like, what on earth is a hat? What is it? Why is he talking slow? It happened in the South too, like from the East Coast when you're like this, and that's friendly to us. Like we're like, we allow people their space because there's so many people and you're bumping into people that it's kind of it's a respectful thing for us to like not, talk to every stranger. We're like, no, give them space. And New Yorkers will still come together. Connecticut will still come together when things hit the fan. But yeah, moving out here, I haven't been asked that question really before. If I have, it's been a long time. I think to answer that is, I think that it was harder than I realized, and I escaped how difficult it kind of was to transition and make new friends and be scared and not know the industry and face all your fears all over again. I was very lucky in that I found incredible groups of people. I've been surrounded by amazing people always. And that's when a lot of people are like, oh no, LA, there's a lot of fake people out. There's fake people everywhere. You can go anywhere. You will walk into what you believe. That's what a confirmation bias, which is a lot of what I coach. The initial reaction was everyone was kind of on a slower timeline. And and even though I was Florida, I was still always in Florida surrounded by New Yorkers. I always found my New Yorkers and my Connecticut and my East Coast kind of people. So I was still, it's got to get done and it's got to get done yesterday. Let's go. I got to get somewhere and I got to get there, in 2 seconds, even though it's 30 miles away. Let's go. I want what I want and I want it yesterday. So when I came out here, I mean, people don't reply to emails in like 2 weeks. Everyone takes their time. Everyone's on vacation. And I was just like, what is happening? And I was still go, 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 go. What I will say is this. My mentality and my go, go, go was also like I had a lot of anxiety, and sometimes things were being ruled by fear. And so that go, go, go wasn't producing results. It was just producing overwhelm and overworking. Work smarter, not harder. Time is everything. Time's not just money. And so I will admit that being in California actually allowed me to slow down and to be more effective with my time. So that East Coast to West Coast, we do really well with this, I think, in my opinion.
So you actually learned something. Like when you came here, you said, okay, I need to slow it down a little bit. I need to relax a little bit, maybe not be so crazy, intense, focused, and then, but I do think that probably people took you more seriously because of that intensity, though they did take you a little bit more seriously, like they could count on you. Because I think we can count on people. Because if you're too calm, if you're too relaxed and you don't answer your emails ever,
Yeah.
then that could be a problem too, right? I mean, it's
Fine.
like so
Yeah.
so there is a nice, I think what you're explaining is there was a nice healthy balance
Yeah.
to the way that you did transition. Because if you would have just went totally relaxed, number one, you'd have never got shit done.
Yeah.
And number two, people would have been looking at you like you're a flake. And I
Yeah.
don't think anybody, and LA, because there are, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you're in LA or California, people do expect you to get shit done. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
obviously, I mean, if you only got a couple of chances with people, because they'll ditch you real fast. You know,
Yeah.
at least I think people, they want somebody that they can rely on. They want somebody that's dependable. But I like that. I like how you transitioned really well. And so you get out here, and then what was the, like, did you get some parts that were, you know, that kind of kept you going? Like, how did you stay afloat financially? Or was that rough? Was that tough? Did you have some savings? Was there odd jobs that you were working? Tell me about that process for
Oh,
you.
yeah. There was definitely the odd jobs. I did have work here and there. I did a lot of indie features, and some small co-star roles here and there. And I was also a college recruitment host. So I was also flying around the country, and I was filming college recruitment videos for universities and colleges. So that was also like one of the jobs. And I wound up there learning how to be a field producer, a PA producer, because I was producing the videos as well and helping out with that, and an editor. Because at one point our system crashed and we lost 250 videos. And these are colleges, these are huge universities that are like, hey, we need that video. And so they trained me in like how to do, and I had like the 3 monitor setup, my own dark room, and I learned how to be an editor. Which I will say this for anyone in the filmmaking industry, learning how to edit it helped me so much with effective timing, who to pick for, because I still produce now. I've done way more producing now, and acting. But I love jumping into producing. It helped with like who's going to get things done and who's going to kind of do extra time, or also with acting, it helps you with consistency and what's the word I'm looking for? Can't think of the word right now. It'll come after this, but basically like if you're taking a drink of something, you have to know how to refill it or where it was in each part of the scene. Otherwise, when you go to cut it, they're going to cut you out because it's not going to match frame, because you drank too much over here and now the glass doesn't match because they're matching it from a cut you did 5 hours ago. So it became this like huge lesson on things. So that was one of the odd jobs. Another odd job was I was a special events bartender. So I bartended like random events around like Hollywood, and I was like a bartender for Seth MacFarlane's Christmas parties, and like got to meet Leonardo DiCaprio and Jonah Hill, and it was like all these really amazing people that was like, oh wow. And it was really beautiful to see that the human and people. I think that a lot of people have a tendency to put a lot of spiritual gurus, politicians, actors, actresses, they put people on way too much of a pedestal, and they can't be human and have flaws, which as an actor, I'm the epitome of a beautifully flawed human being who's overcoming those things. I put that in the art, but like, make no mistake, I'm human. I'm still on this journey. I still am developing my own spiritual journey, and access to that, and figuring out, oh, this mistake means this, or oh, this was from childhood that I hadn't figured out yet, or oh, here's this toxic person, which we're on this journey together. So it taught me a lot. It got me to see the human side and so many things, be a part of it. And then eventually what happened was, which was really cool, I came out with a film, Love and Hostages. I'm the lead of that. That one's on Amazon Prime right now. That was several years ago that we came out with that. And then a friend of mine was, I can't remember what she was doing. She was working on something, but she wound up meeting Gary Marshall, and who was a good friend of her boyfriend at the time. And she met him, and he's this Brooklyn sounding, man. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gary Marshall, but he was the one that did Pretty. Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
He created Overboard, Pretty Woman, Mork and Mindy. I mean, all of these things, Odd Couple.
Just want you to know, I was in Pretty Woman, by the way. So that's my claim to fame. Most people probably don't know
Oh my God,
that's
that's
watching this.
amazing.
I was an extra though. I was an extra.
That's still
You have to literally put it in slow-mo right before she throws her gum out on the street on
Yes.
Rodeo. Okay.
Okay.
I was about 14 years old. And
Wow.
I was walking in the background right there all day long. I was
Oh
hanging
my
out with
God, I
Julia
love it.
Roberts and
Yes.
Richard Gere. We were hanging out because it was a really hot day under the little, shade in one of the buildings. And yeah, it was really cool. So anyways,
I
I had to
love
throw
it.
that in
Oh,
because I know
yes.
Gary Marshall. I know all these people. I'm like, yeah. So anyways,
Oh,
it's
that
awesome.
makes me so happy to hear. I
So,
miss him so much. So I met him. My friend met him and was like, "Oh, you got to meet someone. I've got someone that like you guys would click." And we met, and it was just we were two peas in a pod. We just cracked. And so I became one of his mentees, one of his last mentees with him for the last like 2 to 3 years of his life. And he was starting to teach me producing and more writing. I'd been a writer since I was a kid, but it had been something that I kind of dabbled in and put it down. And so he and I started developing some projects together, and he was teaching me producing, and he was teaching me the making industry, and teaching me that it's like that I'm allowed to be well-rounded. I don't have to do just one thing. And my God, he was so funny. I remember one time he would always ask, he did this beautiful thing where with his friends and family and anyone close in his mentees, he would always kind of start off the meeting and kind of, or like the interaction that you have with them, and kind of be like, okay, so tell me your problems. I want to hear all your problems. And one time, now there are times where I would look at him as like, this is a legend. You know what I mean? And then there are other times that's also my friend and my mentor, and he's one of the most incredible human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And so I couldn't believe it. Out pops my mouth when he's like, "So tell me your problems. I want to hear your problems." I was like, "Why? Because you don't know what those are like anymore." And we just started like crying, laughing. And I was like, "Oh, you want to hear what it's like for the lowly people now? Is that it that for you?" And he was just like, "Yeah, Natalie, you're pretty, but your mind, I love your mind." And yeah, I still have the voicemails from him. I still think about him all the time. I still listen to the voicemails. And that was one of the most incredible experiences. When he passed away, I didn't do too well. It took me a while to heal, because he mattered a lot to me. I still like,
What?
yeah.
I love that you talk about, the human aspect of these people, because, especially as Americans, or not even Americans, probably around the world, we look at these people as superhuman. And I always,
Yes.
even in my own business, and you probably don't know a whole lot about me, but I run a financial services company, but it's a part of a major New York Stock Exchange corporation that has
Oh, that's cool.
150,000 people. And so even within our own, company, there's so many people that will put certain people up on a pedestal.
Yes.
And you look at these people like they're not normal, but we all started off the same. Most of us started broke, right? I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest, right? Most of us started with no money, but we just had an insatiable desire and will to win, like to do something significant with our life, whether it be an actor or an entrepreneur or anybody that has ever done anything significant. There was just something inside of us that and I think that's why even, yourself, when you came here and you were like, just go, 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 because there's something inside of you that you really wanted to be somebody. You wanted to, and I tell people all the time, I mean, I think we all have a flashing sign on our back that says, look, say something good to me.
Yes.
Tell me I'm special. Tell me I'm great. See me. Everybody wants that. And if people say that that they don't like people to say nice things about them, they're just being humble, because
Wow,
it's the
false humility on that one. That's the the false pride on that one.
right.
That's because they don't feel like they actually deserve it, and they speak to themselves terribly. I used to be like that.
Yeah. But I think that, when you came here, you're like trying to achieve something, accomplish something. And so anyways, I think it's awesome that we all have to kind of not put these people so high up and say, look, they're normal, regular people. They just, for somewhere along the line, and I'm not saying some of them got lucky. There's no question that winning in life, there is a little bit of luck in there, but a lot of it was discipline and hard work and focus and, just all these little steps. And so what advice would you give? Let's just say somebody moved from, right? Because now you're 10-year veteran in LA, so somebody wants to be an actress or an actor, and they move from somewhere else in the world, and they come to LA. Like, what do they do? Like, what are some of the pieces of advice that you would give them?
Find your community, find your tribe, and get your butt into classes. Learn this craft, because oftentimes I'll have people who have never jumped into a class, don't know how to be an actor, haven't Googled it, and are asking for handouts. And don't get me wrong, I've been there too. I've been the one that's wanted handouts and wondered why people didn't give me a leg up. And it's because here's the reason why. And heal. If you got trauma, which by the way, a lot of what you just said too, according to a CIA study, and I love this, people who are wildly successful just have the right amount of trauma too. And anyone can overcome anything. Everyone's got trauma, by the way. Everyone. Trauma is literally like you stub your knee and you hate trees now. Trauma. We've demonized that word a little bit. It's not as like crazy as it is. It just means that anything where I perceive that now I'm not in a safe space, or I'm not comfortable, or whatever it is, leads me to being stuck, there's usually a seed planted. So whatever seeds are planted in you, I'm not good enough, I got to hustle, I got to make it now, the limiting beliefs, start healing those, because people can feel your energy. Your energy precedes you, what you walk into a room with. You can lie, you can try and hide it, but the people who have done their work and who have like hustled and broken things down and learned how to like live in peace and overcome stuff and learn how to walk away from toxic people or people who sabotage. Even if you have a good heart, if you sabotage, you know what I mean? You got to heal. So the people up here can't necessarily give handouts, because if you give someone something who doesn't think that they're worth it or that they deserve it, they will take it and they will toss it and they will sabotage it by accident. It's our subconscious programming. So heal is number one. And learn how to start doing for yourself first. That way you're going to make it a lot easier for people to want to give you an opportunity. That's luck. Luck is when opportunity meets preparation. That's what luck is.
So, and also it's the relationships, right? I mean, you're talking about the tribe. It's really those relationships that were formed, that this opportunity comes from that last relationship. The next opportunity comes from another relationship. And then, but it's you just being a good person, right? Everybody wants everything now. Give it to me, instead of saying, wait a minute, I gotta deserve it. You know what I mean? I gotta put in my time. I gotta put in the effort. I gotta put in the, everything that I need to do to be the best that I can be. And then those opportunities start flowing to you, because then those people, they want to do things for you, right?
Yes.
I mean, they want to give you that role. They want to give you that part. They want to, give you that opportunity, because they look at you and they go, wow, this person really has mastered their craft. This person really has been putting in their time, and I see it, and I see that. And great people, I think they recognize great people.
Yes.
I don't know if you see that.
And I think so for me too, and this was a big game changer for me, is I can see the great in anyone. I can see the pain in anyone. The pain in me recognizes the pain in you, but the healing in me recognizes the healing in you. Like, for anyone spiritual, the God in me recognizes the God in you, the higher power in me, whatever it is. But like game recognize game for sure. But that's also why the more that you heal and the more that you overcome your own obstacles, the more that when you see people, you'll be able to know where they're at in their journey. And if they're ready to receive, or if there's someone that goes, no, I don't want compliments. No, thank you. That's someone that's going to sabotage a good thing. And it's like, even if they have a good heart, it doesn't matter. It's, have you overcome that voice inside of you that says that you're not worth it or you don't deserve it? Because that's a lie. That's from childhood. The other thing is that I have some people that I've seen that go, oh, but I just need an opportunity. How am I supposed to act, or how am I supposed to be that if I'm not even getting an opportunity? Go to your schools, go to the universities, go to the film schools, the film schools, and you can drop off a resume and a headshot. Even if your resume says nothing, even if it says, stuff that you've done on your camera, drop something off. And then that's how I started. I started by doing short films at universities. You can start making your own demo reel. You can create your own stuff. We have cameras that are amazing now. You can buy anything. You can get this stuff. You can start creating. You can start making your own scripts as well too. But like, start. do it already. Majority of my resume was me going out there and like making those things happen, going to workshops, learning my craft, studying, doubling down, going to so many like night classes and film and scene study and audition workshops and everything. I learned this thing, Meisner, David Mamet, Ivana Chubbuck for 10 years now. And what wound up happening is that now, as we've risen, like I'm now writing my own work. I'm now producing projects. And now what happened is that we network sideways. So the people that I was coming up with, they're also producing and directing and writing. And some of my friends that were actors realized that, man, they really love producing instead or directing instead. The amount of times I've gotten thrown into someone's pilot because we've already worked together in the past and they already came up with me. But so they know that when they put me on set, they're going to know, they know that I'm directable. I'm easy to be with on set. I do my job. I make things, light, easy and do it and go home. I do my job and that. So because people know that, you're more likely to go, okay, let's pull her in.
Yeah, and that's and that just becomes your your brand. That becomes your reputation, and people want to work with you. So tell me, so you get into this coaching. Like, how did this come about, and why did you okay, all right. So why did you want to be a coach? After all said and done, you go from actress and producing and writing. I'm sure you're doing it all. I mean, you're doing everything right now, but
I'm doing the most, we call it. So then you want to doing the most.
You want to add another thing, like what the heck? Like that is like not normal for most, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's not a life coach now, right? So
but he is a humanitarian and environmentalist. So he's got that.
That is true. That is true. But I love it though. I love the area of your expertise. And I want to jump into that part now. But tell me how that transition happened for you.
So here's what happened was, it wasn't necessarily a transition, more of like finally getting paid for what I was already doing. I grew up and I saw a lot of chaos, a lot of pain, a lot of healing that needed to happen, escapism, what happens with people. I've coached people all over the world. I've coached every denomination, political thing, like whatever it is. There is the common denominator, which are when people are in fear and when they have trauma or they have unhealed wounds, we accidentally manifest them more. We push people away. We push the good ones away. We do a lot of things that actually cause us exactly what it was that we don't want or never want again because we have to heal it. So I was growing up and I got to see that. I have my own battles with like addiction and alcoholism. I overcame that. I'm over 6 years clean and sober now. I've, been in abusive relationships. Thank you. I've seen abusive relationships. I've watched. And what wound up happening is ever since I was a kid, I would have strangers tell me their secrets. No idea why. And for about 10 years, I actually was unable to make eye contact with people because when I was growing up, I started off as like a busser. I was 14, 15, or it was 15 because legally it's 15. And I was bussing tables and, and doing that. I was always a hustler. And I would have people, and even when I was like serving or like giving food or like doing that, and I would have people who would like, they were talking or in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden look at me and go, whoa, your eyes are really intense. I received that as there's something wrong with me. And that I was making people uncomfortable. And so for 10 years, I couldn't make eye contact with people. I thought that it was me. That's how I received things. Like, oh, it must be my fault. That's what trauma does, is there's a voice in your head that goes, must be my fault, because why else is this thing happening, right? I'm the common denominator. That's where we can get victim shaming, victim blaming, and why people will wind up again in another toxic relationship, staying there, getting abused, getting beaten, men and women. Men and women we are wildly similar. It's incredible how similar we are. There's just different variations because of what we've been told and what we've been programmed with, but we'll get to that another time. So I wound up having to learn that there was something in me that people felt seen, and people who wanted to hide did not want to make eye contact. And I eventually learned that, I'd be on a plane. There was one time in particular, I remember I was on a plane and I was sitting next to, I was 14. I was sitting next to a gentleman, and out of nowhere he just started like telling me about his divorce and his wife and like what was going on, what was happening. And this was just a common thing where I even now in coaching, like, you're people who didn't really know necessarily who I was. Now I'm as a coach, I'm a little more well known for that in that sphere, just completely finally telling me their deepest, darkest secrets that they've been holding on to. And that was it. The transition happened when after I got sober, I jumped into 12-step programs, which I absolutely love. Love 12-step programs. There's a 12-step program for everything. Love it. It's free. You know what I mean? If you can't hire a coach, get into a 12-step program. It's amazing. And I wound up really learning how to take the information that I learned with the degrees and integrate it, and then actually start the healing journey. Did not know about the coaching space. Didn't know. I thought the only thing that existed for coaching was like Tony Robbins. I didn't know there was different niches. I had no idea. That it was like a fitness coach and Tony Robbins. Those are your options. Good luck. And then I wound up getting a coach. I wound up getting therapists. I wound up getting healers. I wound up working with different modalities. And I found out about certifications. And so I did. I got certified coach. I found out I love neurolinguistic programming, so I got certified in that. And then at one point I was debating on doing counseling and going back to get my master's to do more therapy. But when I looked at it, it would take me out of the game for filmmaking because it's like a 2-year thing that I would have had to do 300 hours of community service, and my heart sank because I was like, I can't keep giving to others if I'm not giving to myself. And that's when things clicked and really shifted, and how I also opened up my own coaching program or practice by myself eventually last year because I had worked under some other people and learned, and saw some things, and then eventually started my own because it was like, I really need to be in practice and an example of following your heart and overcoming your own limiting beliefs, and then showing other people how to do it. Because the most effective thing you can do for anyone, and especially for anyone who's listening, who's in a relationship, if you have someone that's like dealing with some trauma, or they're not stepping up, or you need them to do X, Y, and Z, it's the fastest way to achieve it is by becoming it and becoming that example. And that way, that person that you're with, or the people around you, the people that you love and care about, when they see the way that you interact with the world, yourself, how you speak about yourself, how things are just magically coming to you, and now you're the lucky one, they're going to go, wait, I want what you've got. How did you do that? You're like, oh, I healed some things. I worked on my limiting beliefs, changed my mindset. I healed.
It's powerful, really, really powerful. And so do you think that college really helped you to become the coach you are today? Or do you think that just your life experiences and dealing with your own, coaches and your own self-improvement that you put in throughout all of your life, I would imagine. I mean,
Mix.
It's a mix.
I would say, because
so
college,
what percentage, like, would you say that it's 75% or 50-50, or what would you, how would you describe that?
It's hard to say that because college is part of my life experience.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where even in college, I was dealing with getting bullied. I was in trying to connect to people and trying to seek community, and not knowing how to do it. I, did do a sorority for a little bit, didn't feel fully connected there. I was seeking things, and it was the whole experience. My degree is something that, like, now psychology is something that we've grown a lot in the human mind. So PR and communications helped a lot too, because with PR I was studying like fear mongering and the effects of fear on America and around the world and around the globe. And then with communications and things like that, I was, effective communication, obviously. With psychology, I was also learning like our systems, our internal systems, our mental health comparative to other countries, like what works, what doesn't, like all of it. And everything, especially what I learned in college. Like, I mean, after I got sober too, it was like my mind started firing on all cylinders, and it continues to surprise me the amount that I'm able to like recall. And now I've continued my education. I'm big on that. There was one time I was coaching a psychologist actually, and I had been operating on some old information the stuff that I learned, everything that the things, excuse me for any grammar people out there, the things that I learned back then were amazing. They're incredible. They still apply today. We've just grown a lot on like we've learned even more. Joe Dispenza talked about it recently that people have been able to heal their cancer. I don't recommend just doing this, but through meditation and their mindset. Your mind is so powerful. It can create dis-ease, which creates diseases. So there's a lot of things that we learned. There's a lot of things we're growing in.
Okay. So say that again. Okay. Because
Yes.
this is powerful. I don't want anybody to miss this.
Oh, it's so important. Your mind is so insanely.
Our mind is so powerful that it is creating our good, our bad, our ugly, our everything. It's making us sick. I mean,
yes.
Can you just tell people that when you are constantly telling yourself you're sick, that you're probably going to be sick?
Absolutely. Because your brain and your body are listening to you. So anyone can practice this at home. Tell yourself something nice and feel it and feel the truth of it. Something that you feel is truthful. Like, man, I really love how smart I am or how much I give to other people. Feel that. And notice how your body lights up. You'll notice you lift more. Your body shifts. Now tell yourself something ugly, cruel, mean. I'm a piece of shit. I hate everything. I swear. I'm terrible. I'm an awful person. And notice how you'll concave. And now you'll notice that like other people will notice that thing. Here's another one. Have you ever been around someone where you love their energy or you love something about them? You don't know what, you just met them, but man, there's something about them. It's because of the way they speak to themselves and the way that they're grounded. And then if you've ever been around someone that you're like, I can't stand this person, I got to get away from them. It's because they're the way that they speak to themselves and to others is more toxic. We all pick it up. You and I are just giving some words to it. Now, I will say this. I do not like toxic positivity. It does not work. I don't believe in blowing smoke up your, you know what? A lot of people can gaslight in that area and spiritually bypass, it's called. And we can call it emotionally bypass and bypassing. It is more effective to be honest and truthful. So that way you can get to the healing and you can get to the, what I call is the positive reality statement. There are certain things, depending on your gender, your race, your ethnicity, your nationality, what country obviously country from nationally, and skin tone, all of that. There are extra things that you will have to overcome and deal with, whether you realize it or not, whether you want to push it in your subconscious or not. There are things that each country has extra limiting beliefs, each gender, each this is that, different limiting beliefs. By being honest, you'll get to overcoming it a lot faster. So there will be some people that just like in trauma, there are some people who have had way more trauma than others. It's just a fact. It's not crazy to be like, no, that's a reality. It doesn't help by gaslighting it, steamrolling it, putting it down, putting it back, because no matter what, subconscious and your body keeps the score, that kind of thing. The truth comes out in the behaviors and in, what we see today. So the fastest way through is by acknowledging it first, accepting it, right, and then you can do something about it. Now let's get to the solution.
Yeah, this is incredibly important, because what you're saying is that our mind is creating our reality.
Yes.
I mean, and I don't. And look, at the end of the day, you're absolutely right. You got to be honest with yourself. If you're screwing things up, just be honest with it. I mean, one of the most irritating things for me to deal with in my life, because I've been dealing with people. I mean, I deal with hundreds and hundreds and thousands. I mean, throughout my 25 years in business.
Oh yeah.
So many people, so many personalities, so many flaky people, so many people that didn't do what they say they're going to do, so many people that let me down, so many people. And so you have to really be very careful, because you could become so jaded by the world that you finally meet a good person and then you treat them like shit.
Oh yeah.
Because you're thinking that everybody's the same, but everybody's not the same. So what are some of the biggest challenges, first of all, what are the challenges that people are coming to you with in relationships, in toxic, bad relationships, whatever? I mean, what are some of those issues that you're having to help people overcome? And maybe just give us some ideas on how you help them overcome those challenges.
Ooh, there's a lot. I've coached over 1,000 men at this point all over the world. I will say there's common themes and common things. The main thing is we attract our belief systems, and we only see that. I call it the Where's Waldo effect. So for instance, in your case, if you didn't heal this, if you constantly only see people that are flakes that can't show up for you, and you're constantly like, see, there it is again, then what that means is that you're not paying attention to, and you don't know how to train your brain to see all the other applicants or all the other dates or all the other people that are right there, literally right there, staring at you going, I'm not, but you can't see me, because you're only choosing to go to look for and spot the things that confirm your belief system. It's why some people with certain really strong belief systems, when you try and have a conversation with them and they like freak out, they're tied to this belief system. And if you challenge it in a certain way, then, you know what I mean? Then they can't hear you. So curiosity always bypasses threat monitoring too. So curiosity always helps with that. But once you realize that you're like, I've got a repeat pattern going on. I'm constantly seeing flakes or people that don't show up for me, or rude people, or narcissistic people, or toxic people, or whatever. Okay, what's going on? And it's not your fault. Mm-hmm. It's not your fault how people treat you. That is not your responsibility. It's our part if it keeps happening, if it's something where it means that there's something that happened in the past in our childhood while our subconscious mind was forming. So our subconscious mind forms from the ages of 2 to 10 up to 14. And then if there's any other traumas, inciting incidences, large things that happen in life, that gets stacked into. But for the most part, what happens is seeds of your reality are planted in there. And no matter what, everyone's got things to overcome. Everyone's got some sort of like, this won't work or this or whatever, just some more than others. So a seed of doubt will get placed in. I'm not good enough because I'm receiving that my parents only love me when I make a good grade or I do something good. So I have to prove myself now. Now, later on, that's just a seed planted. Later on, if you get around someone or you date someone that makes you feel less than and makes you feel like you need to prove yourself, your brain goes, see, I knew it. I knew it. Now, what happens is you're going to look for only that. You don't mean to, but our subconscious mind is very simple. It is designed to keep you safe by keeping you right. So no matter what you believe, it's going to prove you right either way. So whether you feel like you're good enough or you're not good enough doesn't actually matter. You're going to prove yourself right either way. So which one do you want to be? So the biggest thing that I see is, and the biggest thing that I coach on is, we find out what seeds were planted, because those are your blocks that are manifesting later on. Those are the ones that are keeping you away from your career, sabotaging your career and sabotaging your love life. And they also, the most beautiful part about it though, too, is through your trauma and through your pain is actually how you'll also find your purpose and why certain things matter to you and why certain core values matter to you. And it'll also help you with identifying who's in alignment with you. So if you've been through a lot of stuff, I get it. A lot of things in life, I totally get it. It's why I do what I do. We get to find like why certain things will matter to you and why it's actually going to help you to be even more incredibly powerful and effective and successful in career and relationship. So it's a number one thing that I really see a lot of is people have some pain points, some seeds planted and some limiting beliefs. And sometimes they're not even aware of it. I've had people that are like, no, I love myself. I think of this, but then they're sabotaging their relationship or accidentally cheating when they don't want to, or doing something they don't want to, or escaping, or overworking or running, whatever it is, sabotaging an area of their life, and they don't understand why, because they want this thing. They know they're like, no, I get, but something in your brain, there's a seed planted back there. And we do not think in the subconscious mind. We do not. We behave automatically from it. Your autopilot is from there. That's the bus driver. So when you're in fear or scared or secretly something or up against something that really matters to you, the inner child or the subconscious mind or the negative seed planet is go, nope, I don't think so, because that's scary. And then we're going to have to be vulnerable. And what if it doesn't work out like it did before? So that's where you'll get people that shock themselves, where they're like, I know I want this thing. I know I deserve this thing. Why is this thing happening?
No, I can really relate. I mean, when you were talking right now, one of the things that came into my mind is, and I've told this story before, but when I was probably about 10 years old, I mean, I was literally waiting on the corner for my father. My parents were divorced. And of course he was, he was, I mean, he would get me on the weekends or whatever. And there would be many, many times where I would be just waiting for him to come and pick me up so we could have a cool father-son weekend. And so many things that he told me, we're going to do this and we're going to do this and we're going to get ATCs and we were going to travel here and none of that shit ever happened, you know? But so kind of the good and the bad of the situation, because of course, you know, I always try to look for the silver lining in all things. But I think that one of the things that helped me to become successful in business was because that happened to me, because that trauma as a young child helped me become a grown man where, you know, I was incredible father. I mean, my kids are 17 and 21 now, but I mean, incredible father and incredible businessman. I mean, I was always there. I always did what I said I was going to do. I'm very, very reliable. Like I am the most reliable person you'll ever meet.
In the beginning. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. This is where this came from. I mean, so it's amazing because everything you're saying is so right on, because it's amazing that, you know, like just a situation.
Also why you were getting around people who couldn't show up. That's you continue. That was a father wound that you had. And also why when you do meet someone for that actually values time and respects you and shows up and values the same thing. Oh my God. When you heal from that wound, you will get to appreciate the people who have also overcome that and value that same thing too. You get to see them more clearly and appreciate. And now that person feels seen. And now you feel more seen because you're finally finding people that are in alignment because you've healed. And the cool part is that you didn't pass that on to your kids. By accident. When we don't heal from the things that hurt us, we accidentally give it to our kids and then they have to kind of heal from it. And we might actually go into the extreme. You might be someone that, like, you know, you could have gone to the other extreme where if your kids made a simple mistake, lost it on them, you know, if they didn't show up for something, or if they really felt like something wasn't for them, you're forcing them to do things they don't want to do because they have to show up. And now they feel pressured and they constantly get around people that are so we can go to the opposite extreme and wind up still actually creating that generational trauma that gets passed down. So majority of us over here are just breaking some chains so that, you know.
But it's such an interesting subject to talk about, because I think that even I worry sometimes about my kids, though, because they've had very little trauma in their life.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe they have. I don't know. Maybe they have, but they've always had everything. I mean, I did well from an early age, and so they've had everything. They've never had to struggle. They've never had to worry about money. They've never had to worry about living in a beautiful home and all the things that, you know. And but sometimes I worry on the flip side, because they didn't have that trauma. What kind of adults will they become? And I'm not, you know, look,
I coach a lot of that, by the way. I've coached a lot of that.
They're great kids. I mean, they're A students. They do what they say they're going to do. They're good human. Like, to me, the most important thing is they're good human beings. I mean, like, they're good little humans. And that is like my most proudest thing, you know, but anyway, so this is really cool.
Just so you know, I have clients that'll come in and go, I had a great childhood. Why am I getting with this toxic person, or why am I getting with someone? So that's why I said earlier, everyone will receive the world in a certain way. And if something happens where they're perceiving that there's a lack, or they're not good enough, or whatever it is, it plants a seed of like, oh no, I'm not safe here. Your kids could have gone and scraped their knee on the sidewalk and then gone, the sidewalk is lava, I never want to go on the sidewalk again. And then if they scrape the knee the next time, now all of a sudden they got OCD on sidewalks. Everyone. And so a lot of people will think, oh, if I don't have trauma, then I don't have a right to have things that affect me. Absolutely not. We all have different things that we've been born into, which will have its ups and downs that you will have to overcome. I've had people where, like I said, they might feel like if they don't get a good grade, and you won't even know this, it will come out later, but if they don't get a good grade, then they're not good enough. And so they constantly feel like they have to prove themselves. That can happen whether or not you have trauma, or whether or not, like, it was, you know, feeling like you got more rewards when you did really well. And now it's planted a seed that, like, you can only receive love if you do really well. Anything can happen like that. So everyone is in this together. And you also know too that people with silver spoons have completely different, they have they have also imposter syndrome. They'll have to go through like, I didn't earn this. I'm not worthy. I didn't over. Everyone, regardless if you got a silver spoon or you got the spoon beaten on you, we all have very similar limiting beliefs, and we all are overcoming imposter syndrome and feeling not good enough and feeling like I'm not worthy and feeling not seen and not heard. We'll all go through certain things like that. And that's why it's like even opposite sides of the political spectrum are literally screaming the same exact thing. How men and women screaming the same exact thing. Men and women. When I started coaching men and I started realizing the amount of like abuse and narcissistic abuse and psychological abuse that a lot of men have gone through, but don't know how to process emotions and stop, repeating that. Women, speak their emotions. Men can repress their emotions, is what we've taught society. Again, men and women screaming the same thing, have a lot of the same things that have happened to them. Women will have slightly different things. There's been more of an oppression there. Men have more of like a psychological thing. But the similarities of like, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. It's my fault. I'm not important. I'm not seen. It's never going to happen for me. It's always one step forward, two steps back. Men are toxic. Women are toxic. Toxic people always give me the best, inner quarters or whatever. We have all of these things. We are so much more similar than a lot of people realize. And that actually blew my mind when I really stepped into coaching.
Is it, do you feel that this, because I've been saying this for a little while. I mean, I think women are right now, it is like their decade, man. I mean, women, they are just coming out strong. I mean, more women CEOs in the world now. Yes. I mean, more billionaire women right now. I mean, just powerful time for women.
Oh yeah.
Is this hurting their relationships though with men? I mean, in the sense that they're becoming so strong, so maybe masculine. That is this a challenge? Do you see this as being a challenge for men and women in this world that we're living in?
So here's the thing. Things have not changed in the form of like trauma and human behavior. It's manifesting slightly differently. And right now, the only difference is that we have more information and access to information available, which we have also access to misinformation. But we have the access to heal. A lot more people are healing. Now, here's the thing about masculine. And no, women are getting in their masculine. When a woman is traumatized, they have to put a guard up that puts them in their masculine. So back in the day, for instance, when women were popping Quaaludes and getting thrown into I love psychology. I had a big issue with Freud. Back in the day with Freud, he didn't understand women and he never thought to ask. And so he even said on his deathbed, the one thing that he wished he understood more was women. Back in the day when a woman had her period or time of the month or was, emotional in any way, showed any form of excess emotions, she got thrown in a loony bin. Now, back in I think it was the 50s, something like that, part of what they used to do for women is they used to put a cardboard smile on your face and make you look in the mirror, because they said that smiling would make you happier, would make you more approachable, would make you more likable. It's the reason why today when a woman gets told, smile, you should smile more, there's literally inside of us something that goes, because that's actually a generational trauma that's been passed down that a lot of people don't know about. Women were not allowed to say in the workforce, hey, please don't touch me. Please don't comment on my body. I'm really here to work. We weren't allowed to say that because you'd get fired. Now, here's the other thing. And this is very true. Everyone, no matter what, whether you're a CEO or you want to be at home and you want to be pregnant and barefoot and cooking and cleaning. Oh my God, love all of it. It doesn't matter. You can be hyper in your masculine and you can also have wounded feminine. Men on this one too. I've coached men that are the stay-at-home dad with incredible relationships. They mostly were coaching me because they had a toxic mom or something that kept trying to insert herself. It's a balance. Everyone has masculine and feminine energy inside of them. I think we get confused because of the term masculine and feminine, that we think only men have this and only women have this. No, masculine energy is forward motion and decision-making. Feminine energy is intuition, which is extremely important in decision making as well, and being an effective leader in CEO. Because if you don't know how to pick and you keep picking based on your trauma, you're going to keep getting around people who are flakes until you learn how to actually heal and listen to your intuition, not your anxiety. So women, whether we're CEOs or not, Studies have shown that like the happiness factor, like with women is escalated, has grown a lot more. And the main thing, no matter what, is everyone has to heal from their stuff. Otherwise, if you go into the hyper extreme or the other side of it, you're going to create more. So with a lot of women at first, and anyone, this isn't just apply to women, because I'm watching this happen with a lot of men too. Men had their awakening into like 2020 and a little before that. So when we've woken up to, oh my goodness, I have emotions and I'm in trauma and I don't like this, what first happens is screaming. You get the wounded teenager and the wounded inner child. We see this a lot. And what's happening is that it's being too much pushed right now on the media. And so a lot of it's getting sensationalized wherever everyone's like, oh, it's this and it's that. And it's like, no, it's not. Everyone's going to come back to center. But when you first, like a child, for instance, if one of your children was in a lot of pain and you didn't notice it, what happens when you finally see them and notice them? They're going to scream.
Right.
Because they haven't been seen, they've been hurt, they've been getting beaten, and you haven't been noticing, and they've been screaming it. So the first thing that happens when anyone wakes up from trauma is screaming. What happens with that is, like with women, you had the unhealed, wounded. Oh, hold on. So sorry. My camera just overheated. Let me do it. Okay. Okay. So what winds up happening is when anyone is coming out and finally realizing that they have trauma, the first thing that happens is they kind of start screaming because it's a lot of pain that's been pushed down in your body. We noticed this with men too, where it was like men started dumping their emotions, realizing they have emotions, and they're like, what do I do with all this? Right. And it has to go somewhere because it's been buried down and buried down and buried down. We cover it with porn. We cover it with addictions. We cover it with overworking. We cover it with so many things. So the first stage is always a huge kind of epiphany of like, oh, wow, this hurts, and dumping it. The main thing though, and I am very big on this one with women, is I am not a fan. And look, I've been someone who was in the toxic feminine before and wounded feminine. So I had to go through this too. I can't say anything. I get it. I know what happens when you have trauma. So I'm big on this one. If women, when a woman doesn't heal and she's going into like, men be quiet, it's a woman's turn to speak now, what you're doing is you're continuing the generational trauma that's making young boys still now feel like they don't have a voice, that they're not allowed their emotions, that they're not allowed to be human, and they're not allowed to make those mistakes, and they're not allowed to like be authentically themselves. And so you will create more of a suppression of emotions again, which is the confirmation bias. You'll create that which you do not want. So for women, it's up to us to heal that wound and heal from the men that hurt us so that we don't create it more and so that we don't keep walking into it more. But as far as for CEOs and for things like that, no, the only thing that's happened with that is that women have more access to generating their own wealth, not having to get stuck into abusive relationships, not having to stay together for the kids. Same with men too. Men now finally coming out and going, I've been abused by this woman. And now they get to heal so that they don't have to get into abusive relationships. So your job title doesn't matter. It's mostly just where are you at with healing from your wounds so you don't repeat them.
Do you have a funny, like, just thinking back? I mean, do you have a funny request from a client or something that just like a far out situation that you had to deal with?
I mean, the only
something unusual. I want to hear it. I mean, you could tell us anything. I'll
say this. It is unusual for me to be hit on in sessions or by clients. I do not like it. I do not approve of it. So it's actually very rare. So there's been only a couple instances where like maybe that's come up, or like, like someone was really trying to date me or something, and I will immediately refund them. And that, other than that, it's been, I don't really have unusual requests because people are not requesting things from me. I'm not here to grant your wishes. That's, you know what I mean? I'm a coach. I'm here to tell you what to do, and you do the work so that you can get the results, so that you don't depend on me anymore. I'm giving you your solution based on what's going on. So, I don't really get any like crazy requests.
No. I mean, yeah. I have a couple of. I just wanted a couple of last questions. I just thought I'd throw something, in case you had somebody, crazy requests or something. I mean, okay, so is love at first sight real, or is it a fairy tale?
What a beautiful question. Love is an action. So you can absolutely engage in the action at first meeting, especially when you've been giving yourself love and self-love, then the practice of it, you're already doing it. So game recognize game, right? When we talked about that. So let's say that like you've come to the place in your life where you've realized that everything around you is a mirror for what's going on in you subconsciously. It gets to be a game. Life gets to be this fun game where you get to go, okay, what am I learning from this person? What am I learning here? What's this situation trying to teach me? That will remove your triggers, by the way. The more that you learn that it's like, I'm triggered because something happened here, the more that you'll elevate. So when you're around these people and you're noticing like, I'm around such amazing people, when you meet someone and you've cleared your space and you're breathing deeply on a date and you're centered and you're grounded, what winds up happening is that when you are interacting with someone, you can actually spot them a lot faster. The pain in me recognizes the pain in you, but the healing in me recognizes the healing in you too, and where you're at on your journey. I see you because I see me today. The more that I see me, the more that I'm going to get to see you. And so when that happens, you can absolutely engage in the act of love, which is a compliment, a kindness, an interaction, a thing. And you can feel your intuition. Now, after that, you want to make sure you're processing your emotions, allowing your dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin to drop, so that way you're not making decisions based on a high from what you're getting from someone, because then that love at first sight will turn into lust and intensity that will blow up in your face. So.
Well said. Well said. And what about like dating apps? What do you think about dating apps, and is it killing romance?
I think dating apps have pros and cons. I think that there's a lot of people out there that like this is the first step in practicing safely how to overcome limiting beliefs. The biggest one is this one that I always teach my clients. When you are feeling hungry, angry, lonely, tired, halt, put your phone down. When you are feeling horny, when you are feeling lost, lonely, insecure, when you're feeling like you need validation, put your phone down. Put your phone down. For any of my clients that are listening right now, or on this when this comes out, put your phone down, because you're going to accidentally swipe on that which you do not want. That's where we start looking at things through a broken lens. You'll accidentally swipe left. And I've tried this theory for over 5 years. I've tried it on myself too. It is like tried and true. I pass it on to other coaches. When you are looking through life with a broken lens, you're only going to see things through that broken lens. So you'll swipe on it. You'll do the Where's Waldo effect and you'll find it. So put the phone down. Now, so it's a great way to practice your belief system, and only in like a, solid mindset. And it only takes 20 minutes. Put the phone down, process your stuff for 20 minutes, let it pass, let it come up, see what you need, meet your emotional needs first. And then when you do that, you're less likely to meet people who can't meet your needs. Now, dating apps. It's already come out a while ago, and I'm sure they haven't fixed it.
What was that again? What did you say? What came out?
An article came out a while ago about specifically dating apps, and it was from people who worked at the dating apps. It is, and I'm sure they haven't fixed it. They on purpose will not allow men to kind of see their matches, because they're trying to elicit an emotional response, so that way you pay more. Do not pay. You do not need to. You can still continue to use exactly the tools that that I coach, or that I just gave today too. It still works. I've coached clients where they never got a single match to they were literally turning women down, and women were throwing themselves at them. I've had that ever since I started. It really is that powerful, your mindset and what you're swiping on. If you're angry and lonely, you're going to wind up with bots, and you're going to continue to get angry. And then I've actually gotten it where when I was on a dating app, someone thought that I was a bot, and they started cussing me out. And I was like, yo, your wounds. And I didn't say anything. I just unmatched. But I was like, that person's wounds were so deep, and they weren't able to process their emotions, that when someone real came in, they didn't know how to handle it. So
it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. So there's that. So there's pros and cons, and it can absolutely help people who are more shy, or slowly dipping their toe in, or who have really strong belief systems. For me too, I'm like, no matter what, I always meet incredible people. That is a belief system in me now. That wasn't 10 years ago, but in me now is like, man, I always connect with incredible people. I'm always learning and up leveling and getting around amazing people. This even happening, you know what I mean? This came just a connection of like, hey, I'd like to interview you. I'd like, you want, yes. All right, let's do it. So that, and ever since I've been doing that, I've even watched and I've seen it in clients all over the world. You can absolutely overcome any of the extra additional limits that are there. Like I said, be realistic. The dating apps, yeah, there's some things on there that are not okay. Bots, people trying to get you for money, unhealed trauma wounds, people manipulating, the apps actually trying to just get money from you. Absolutely. But can you overcome that? Yes. Acknowledge it first, heal from any wounds that are there that it triggers. And then no matter what, you're going to always match with the people that you're meant to.
Love
and
it.
good people.
Love it. All right, man. I think we could do this for like 3 more hours, but
I know, I love this.
we just, this is really, I mean, look, this is everybody in the world wants to know about healing trauma and becoming the best that you can be. Cause that's, I mean, look, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in a relationship, just got out of a relationship, wherever you're at in your life, I mean, just remember that, your job as a human, in my opinion, is to make progress. And I think progress equals happiness. Let's just try to get better. Look, the one thing that I got out of today is that we're all messed up in our own ways. You know what I mean? Absolutely. We're all a little bit screwed up and we all have trauma. We all have, whether it was, skinning our knee or it was being left on the curb waiting for your father to show up. We all have situations and there's a million of them. And it's okay though. I think that's hopefully people come away from today is we're not perfect. All these successful people that you think are so perfect, they ain't perfect. Instagram is not real. Okay. The dating apps are probably not real. Most of the shit that people put on their dating apps. I mean, it's just like but if we're trying to get better, if we're trying to improve, if we're getting a coach, which I think is the number one thing people need to do, because you gotta, at some point, you gotta talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about, and you gotta have a conversation and say, okay, how do I get better? And this is how I made it in business, by the way, if you're willing to be coachable, if you're willing to follow direction, if you're willing to trust in someone, your life is going to get better. There's no stopping you if you just decide that you're going to follow the game plan and get better every day. Eventually, your efforts are going to compound on top of each other. And you're going to wake up a year from now, you're going to be a completely different person with different mindset, with different thoughts, with different feelings, with different understandings. Because look, they don't teach this shit in school. They don't teach us any of this stuff, right?
They really do not. Because that would be, if you had a bunch of people, especially in America, who actually learned how to process their emotions, heal from their things, and change their mindset and not be ruled by fear. Suddenly the pharmaceutical companies and the health companies and the food companies and this and that, suddenly doing so well. Suddenly those private prison systems won't be doing so well. Suddenly people would be connecting with community, healing, overcoming. There would be nothing to, and it's the biggest thing. I have so many clients that are shopaholics, men shopaholics, or that'll buy things because this is going to make you feel better. This Lamborghini is going to make you feel better. This thing's going to make you feel, this program is going to make you feel better. My job is to get you to not even need me. Even my programs are like that. Here's all the information. So that way you're never ruled by fear and making these decisions where, your body's in trouble. You're needing extra pills. You're needing this. You can't afford this. Suddenly we would actually be coming together a lot more. Here's another one. And I do want to say this, which is kind of fun. And I had to learn this too, that which triggers you, let's say people, a group, whatever, 9 times out of 10, it's because you guys are screaming the same thing, or it's a wound that happened to you in childhood that still needs healing. The majority of the time, it's because it's also something that you guys are usually screaming the same thing and needing the same thing. You're just blaming each other, because it's a trigger. That's what happens. Triggers are there to show us what we get to heal next. That took me a while too. I had to expand on that one as well because, I'm human. I had issues with certain people, and then I was like, oh my God, they're in trauma too. Oh yeah. Okay. I hear you. I get it. And that when we do that more, Man, I don't think people realize just how powerful we really are and how powerful you are as an individual. You and I both are products of that. I've come from like practically nothing with an awful mindset, constantly thinking that love was abuse. Like actually thought that completely, like even when I was with Gary Marshall, I he would offer things like, "Hey, do you want me to give you a quote about you and how excellent you are as an actor?" And no, 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 it's okay. I don't, no, 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 don't do that. And now it's like, wait, I'm allowed to receive. You're allowed to receive now. Like the person I was 10 years ago is definitely proud of the woman I've become. And I'm sure that you can relate to that as well, too. So yes, double down on that mindset, heal those things, overcome those things, be an example to your family that it's possible. Change the game. You don't even have to teach other people how to do it afterwards. Just being an example alone creates a ripple effect for anyone who interacts with you. They go, that's possible. That light inside shines bright, and it really does affect a lot of change. So if anyone didn't know it, you're powerful.
You're doing some good work. There's no question. You got this thing down. Tell me, 24/7 Love Coach 24/7. What are some of your upcoming projects? Tell us how to get a hold of you. How can we get your services? How do we connect? Because everybody, and by the way, everybody on Wealth on the Beach podcast, they're going to contact you. All right. So your Instagram is going to get blown up. So they're all going to contact you.
I can't wait.
Okay. And they're going to say hello, and they're going to ask you crazy questions, and they're going to want to get to know you. And they're going to say, "Hey, I saw you with Daniel Alonzo on Wealth on the Beach podcast. And that was so awesome. And I learned so much. And thank you for the value." So tell us a little bit more how to connect.
Yes. So you can connect with me on social media. It's at Natalie Stavola, NATALIE, V as in Victor, OLA. On all social media. The one I'm the most active on is Instagram, my main page, Natalie Stavola. My website is lovecoach247.com. I just came out with a program today called How to Get the Girl. So you can go on my website and purchase that. You can DM me and I'll send you the link for that one. That one just came out, and that one also has all the information in there, how to actually be authentic. I also do a 90-day transformational coaching program where I do take you from sabotage to success, from toxic to triumph in 90 days or less. Oh, I really like that. It's the first time I said it that way. That rhymed. So that one as well. I have an application for that one. A little bit of a waiting list, but there's an application for that one. That one is a deep dive into everything that's you and everything that's blocking you. So you do wind up making more money, succeeding, overcoming, getting healthy relationships, enjoying your time, enjoying who you are, life, all of it, and actually feeling like I love myself. I can look in the mirror. I'm proud of me. And you'll attract more of that, which is really cool. I've been doing that for a long time and just been, perfecting that. So those are the main ways. Contact me there, set it up. I love community. I'm big on that one. I have broadcast channels. I do lives on my Instagram as well, where I do live Q&As. So I try and give this out to everyone as much as humanly possible, because I really do. My goal is, I love filmmaking. So I'm working on a couple projects right now. Obviously, we're on a strike, but I've still got some things going on with SAG. There's some interim stuff that we're allowed to do, things that we're allowed to do. So my goal is to have and create a bigger platform, so that way I can give this information out for fun and for free. I want to be an example of overcoming things, learning the human condition, overcoming your own obstacles, so that you can have the life and the love life that you've always dreamt of. Because you do deserve it and you are worth it, no matter what, no matter where you've come from or what's happened to you. You want it and it's in your heart. You're meant to have it. And that's my goal.
Well, you're a badass, man. That was really, really fun. Thank you again for all the value that you brought to the table today. Everybody, listen up. Continue to dream bigger than ever. Get after it. And most importantly, do it now. God bless. We'll see you at the top.